why this election is so important. That's why what you are doing is so important. I had a friend of mine who said, there's a difference. When our team wins, or when their team wins, our team gets very depressed. But when their team loses, and our team wins, they become very unemployed. Now think about it, these volunteers that you just had up here. Think of all of you on a Saturday night. Maybe this is what is fun with Kyle on a Saturday night. God, I hope not. But think of what you have to do. Are any of you paid through the Republican Party? Do any of you make your money when government grows? No. But there is a whole cadre of organizations that must have their team win. The teachers' union must have their team win. The contractors who get the stimulus packages must. Those companies that get corporate welfare, what Bill Ritter likes to call the new energy economy, corporate welfare, they must have their guys in power. Otherwise, they might have to actually go out and compete for a living, actually work for a living. That's why what you do is so important. That's why we are behind the curve. That's why it's harder for us. Because we have to take time away from our families, we have to take time away from our jobs, we have to take time away from ourselves to go and fight these fights that if we win, we simply preserve our rights. We don't get anything extra. We just preserve liberty. That's why it's difficult being a conservative. Not only do Bolsherites point at you and laugh, but it's hard work. They are a concentrated interest, we are a diffused interest. So why is it that we fight? Why do we do this? You people can't be this hard up on a Saturday night to spend time with Brophy. You've got to be doing something else. You must actually care about what happens here. And we all have that because we know the people that we love. We all have children, or we know people who have children, we remember when we were children. We know what America has given us, and we want to pass it on. We get scared. And this is one of, if there's one point I want to get across tonight, I want to beg you, please remember one simple thing. Please put principle before politician. It's one of my frustrations with our team. We had it all. We had it all. You remember those days when you said, you know, if only we had a Republican president with a Republican Congress, man, what we could do. We could lower taxes. We could return power to the states. We could really open up health care to competition across the state board. We could do all these things. You remember what it was like when we said, well, if we had a Republican governor and a Republican legislature, we could get vouchers, we could get right to work and paycheck protection, we could get a welfare reform, we could do all these beautiful things. We had those opportunities. Let us step up. And like alcoholics who have to admit a problem, we had a problem. We had the opportunity and we failed. George W. Bush, first thing in office, signed in McCain-Feingold law. Took away our First Amendment rights. He didn't open up ANWR. He increased entitlements to a never-before-seen, with the largest entitlement increase in history, with Medicare. He kept going. The earmark explosion that kept going. And finally, he spent so much money, he and the Republicans. Listen to this statistic. The rate of growth of government under George W. Bush, the rate of the size of government growth, grew faster when Republicans were in office than when LBJ was in office. Was there any doubt that when it came time to defend these people, those people like us, who come out and give up time with our family, give up time with our friends, give up time with our jobs, said, you know what? Is it really worth it? When you're depending on people out of their altruism to come and fight for your team, when their team gets paid to fight, you have to be true to these principles. We were not true to our principles. Here in Colorado, we had our governor endorsed Referendum C and poked a hole in Tabor. That was a string of a long line of things that brought our party more to the left. We paid the price for that. The left is smart. The left is well funded. They're not stupid. They're evil, but they're not stupid. That's why they took over Colorado. We must learn from them. And I think we can. But it comes back to us. We must put principle before politician. And that's a hard thing to say in a crowd full of Republicans, because we need to make sure that when our folks get elected, they know the game has changed. Let me give you what I call the most important moment of my political life, or observation. It was as we were watching George W. Bush slowly move to the left. And what did we say as Republicans? He's got to deal with these other parties. Let's give him a little bit of rope. He's got to give us a great court. All right, he increases Medicare spending. He increases entitlements. He builds a bridge to nowhere. He takes that great American invention, the incandescent light bulb, and he turns it into contraband. Contraband, Edison's great invention. Let's remember, Edison tried to find a filament that worked, and it took him 10,000 attempts. 10,000. When one of his colleagues said, "How does it feel to fail 10,000 times? Like a real American," Edison said, "I haven't failed, not even once. I've successfully eliminated 10 things that just don't work." That's an American. In 2 years, Edison's great invention that brought light to the world will be contraband, thanks to George W. Bush. Our cafe standards, our mileage, will go up from to 32 to 35% miles per gallon. Last time that happened in the 70s, because of lighter car weights, 50,000 people, by U.S. Transportation Department numbers, 50,000 people have lost their lives in accidents they otherwise would have survived. That was a Vietnam War because of the intolerance, saying, "You must live the way we want you to live. We want you to have a smaller, lighter car." Our team doesn't say, "You must have a smaller, lighter car." Convince me. Their team wants to compel me. Their team didn't say, "I really want you to use a compact fluorescent." They didn't convince me. No, they compelled me. They didn't say, "We'd like you to stop smoking in bars and restaurants." They said, "You will not smoke in bars and restaurants." When this new group of politicians come through, they need to know something. It's going to be different. Remember when we kept saying we're going to get a great court? And we all stepped back and let George Bush do what he needed to do. And then finally the big moment came. Harriet, who the hell is she, Myers, was nominated to the bench. Harriet Myers. And then a magic thing happened, a beautiful thing happened. Without any coordination, without any organization, without any communication, center-right groups popped up. People like you and I said, not just no, but hell no. And she was yanked within days. And now we have two of the best Supreme Court justices that Republicans have ever put onto that bench. And it had nothing to do with George W. Bush. It had everything to do with the rabble that's in this room who said to Republicans, "No, I'm going to hold you to Republican values." For all those of you who are running for office, those of you who are in office, let me put you on warning. We will not let you destroy the Republican brand